Dear friends, some thoughts during the many sea days on a reposition cruise Alaska, Japan. After 35 days Hawaii Polynesia cruise on the Holland America Westerdam in March 2022, this became my favorite cruise line. But after an extended reposition cruise Alaska Japan, October 2023, I was not so sure anymore. I will try to explain what happened. Embarking on the second Holland America cruise in October 2023, I was disappointed when I discovered that the Lincoln Center with classical music has been removed and renamed Exploration Launch, and thus replaced by Park West trying to sell art and with Coffee with the Cruise Director. However, there was still a skillful jazz trio around the ship, but no classical music. I better start with what I appreciate with the Holland America line. The new Have It All concept is, together with the Starlink supported Wi-Fi, fantastic. And as always, the staff is so friendly and service-minded. I will especially mention the laundry department, who delivers the laundry within hours. The ECX talks by the cruise director, they are high quality, centrally produced, but you feel it's not as inspiring as the invited lectures usually are. The port talks in Japan was the cruise director reading from a manuscript without having visited these ports. This is not what you should expect from a destination-focused cruise line. Is more and more dominated by selling diamonds, clothes, art, and casino activities. There is more and more rock and roll and billboard, and of course a lot of people prefer the billboard music, but it's a little bit frustrating that the billboard musician has to compete with a casino slot machine sound. That is something that should be addressed on these ships. However, I usually find very knowledgeable and interesting passengers on a cruise like this. And I often wonder why these passengers can't be used in the presentations, to be interviewed and eventually having some small lectures or seminars by themselves. But the cruise director told me that this is something they can't do. It must be approved from the organization. I don't know how high up in the organization. They are afraid that people might say something that offends somebody, and it might not be up to their standard. This might be a global trend with the standardization and control. To me, it becomes less inspiring. This is the itinerary of the reposition part of the cruise with the many sea days. I won't focus on the world stage entertainment or the food in this presentation. In a way, it has become less important for me. I met a very interesting passenger on this ship, and very experienced traveler, Douglas Phillips, who I have the opportunity to interview, and we will now listen to what he told me about the strategy of traveling. Yes, Doug, nice to have you here. Very interesting to hear what you have to say. And I will first ask you, you had traveled a lot having visited 160 countries. How come that you took this reposition cruise to Japan?
Thank you, Bjorn. I was really attracted to this particular cruise because of the nature that it goes to a lot of Western Japan. I've in my previous trips to Japan, and I love this culture. I love the people here. It has so much complexity and joyful things for me in it. But by going along the coast for so much of it, it goes to a lot of the smaller communities. And so I'm not taking excursions. I'm just, except for one that I'm doing in South Korea, I'm going to be doing mostly just walking in the communities and going into local shops and meeting shopkeepers and people along the street and walking in gardens. But the simplicity and the appeal of places that are not touristic places is very strong for me.
Okay, Doug, what is cruising? How is cruising a part of your traveling?
Cruising for me is something that I encountered a little bit later in life, having worked a lot overseas in earlier years. But I find it good in two different ways. For new places and areas that a person hasn't traveled before, it becomes a sampler. So you get to taste a little bit of this culture or this city one day and maybe find something you would like to go back to later and spend more time in. The other thing that I do is I call it post-tolling. At the beginning and ending of cruises, unless they start in the United States, where my home is, they will often be in cities that I may spend a week in before a cruise, or at the end of a cruise, spend a week or two in the area after a cruise, too. So, kind of post-tolling and working in and around a particular area or place. But cruising is wonderful for sampling things. And then, as a veteran traveler, going back and retouching some of your favorite places.
See again? I mean, is there any trip you want like to repeat?
Um, I'm one of those travelers that I just love traveling. And so I would repeat about everything. I mean, there's some places in Africa I may not because of the death that I saw and some other things that happened there, but I just love the opportunity to be able to travel and meet people. And so repeats are always a joy because there's new things to see, new people to meet, and go back to favorite places and have favorite foods and whatever it might be.
On a longer cruise and so on. I started to.
One of the great joys of travel for me is the people you meet along the way. And you can develop long-term friendships with people of other cultures, different parts of your own nation in some cases. So many different people have become lifelong friends, and it's wonderful because those friendships transcend international politics and boundaries that are out there, and they allow us to be able to get to the human level. We laugh at similar things. We cry at similar things. We value our families. We want our kids to have better lives. So many things that are very simple and just human, and it's very important to take time for that.
You also talk a lot to the staff. You told me
Oh,
about.
Uh, the staff sometimes on cruise ships are sometimes more interesting than the people on the cruise. A lot of people, they only will get like Caribbean cruises in their life, and they're very short. They're very sometimes party ships and everything else. But the crew can be very, very interesting. Many of them are very young, but their homelands, their language, they're alone and away from home 6 to 9 months because of the contract they're on. And they can be fascinating to talk with and care about and never take them for granted.
Thank you a lot, Douglas. I think that discussing with you will make me focus more on the itinerary and also try much more actively to contact and discuss with passengers and people that you meet in the ports.